Hello YouTube, Mad Dog here for Darkmount Gaming. Today we are going to discuss the Scout Rifle Sidearm combos place in the new meta. Now, 2 weeks ago we got this new patch and it shook everything up. For the better or for the worse, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, it shook everything up to its core. So, the Scout Rifle Sidearm combination was used by a lot of pros before the patch as a way of, as an alternative to the meta. But now, with the meta switches, where is its place? Well, today we are going to discuss that. So, to start with, let's look at the Scout Rifle's place in the meta. Scout Rifles did not get touched at all. It got a little in-air accuracy, which is barely noticeable. But its top competitions got nerfed. Somewhat inadvertently, but the sniper rifle in the new ammo economy got kind of a nerf. The pulse rifle, which was able to shoot at most of the same ranges that scout rifles can, got nerfed, especially in the flinch department. So the two biggest combatants got nerfed, and the No Land Beyond, it's basically its last competitor, is about to get nerfed. So with all that said, what are the scout rifle's biggest competitor? Well, it's basically, if you're in close range, it's hand cannons. If you're in mid-range, doesn't do great at mid-range depending on which one you're using. If you're using maybe a Mida multi-tool, it can still perform at good range. If you're using a hero formula, it can be solid at mid-range. If you're using a high impact, it can be okay. It can work, but it's maybe not the best gun to use. It can get beat out by pulse rifles, like Hawksaws and Suros PDX. But from long range, it's beast. There is nothing else at this point. With snipers and the pulse rifle nerfs, there's nothing that from long range that can really compete like a scout rifle. So that means the scout rifles have found and have controlled their niche. Unlike before, where other guns could really just outdo scout rifles at their range. So, with that said, let's look at sidearms. Well, we don't have to really touch on this much. Sidearms are basically the new meta of special weapons. With the ammo economy basically nerfing every other kind of special weapon, it's the sidearms day to rule. So, if you put those together, where is it in the meta? Well, it's fantastic. It may be the best setup, and I know some people will say, well, hand cannon. Well, hand cannons plus a sidearm, which is what a lot of people are using. I mean, you're not really covering your long ranges. If you're on a map like Pantheon, where there's a lot of longer sight lines, then you're in trouble. There are a few maps with longer sight lines where you're just going to be in a bit of trouble there with a hand cannon and a sidearm. But if you're using scout rifle and sidearm, you got the long and mid range covered with your scout rifle. There's no scout rifle that's going to perform absolutely poorly in those mid ranges. It may not be your best option, but it's still going to be able to hold its own. And then the sidearms are great for covering the short ranges. And as a lot of pros have stated before, I've made videos on it before the patch, the mindset you have when you're playing playing with a scout rifle, is the same mindset you have while playing with a sidearm. Be a little bit more laid back. don't be as aggressive. You can still be aggressive, but you're not necessarily as aggressive as other setups. Now that is where kind of the trick is. This is why it's not going to be the quote unquote meta. In order to be a meta, it has to be used by a multitude of people. Well, the multitude of people were shotgun rushers, shotgun warriors, even people that use hand cannons. Hand cannons were very popular before the patch. So it's not a surprise that they're popular after the patch. Basically, people are very aggressive. People are ultra aggressive in this game. Have learned to be ultra aggressive. So playing a hand cannon, more of an aggressive short range primary, is not a surprise. It's going to be the meta because it is a good gun. It's not overpowered. It's a good gun, and it fits the mass majority of people's playstyles. That said, just because it's a meta does not mean it's necessarily the best setup. Meta just means it's used by the masses. Well, if the majority of people are very aggressive, then they're going to go with a very aggressive setup. But if you're skilled enough and you can play more passive, laid back, doesn't mean you have to be totally non-aggressive. You can still play aggressively. You just have to be smarter about your aggression. But if you can hold back, be controlled, play smarter, then the scout rifle sidearm is the best setup in PvP today, in my opinion. Now, that's not necessarily the opinion of my teammates. That's just my opinion. But I think if you're honestly it covers statistically, it covers exactly what you need it to. It performs well. I mean, the high impact scout rifles, like the Cocytus, the Jade Rabbit, the Keystone, the Dead Orbit Vendor scout rifle, all those have 0.8 time to kills, and most of them, all of them, with 7 armor or less opponents, they're 2 crits, 1 body shot. And 7 armor or less opponents are the vast majority of opponents. I mean, you're going to get some of these people with max armor, and then you're going to have to hit 3 headshots. But for the majority of times, you're going to get 2 crits, 1 body. And then you also have the very low impact scout rifles. Now, these scout rifles are, one, surprisingly flinchy. I mean, if you've ever gone against them, you're not going to see them very often. But if you've ever gone against them, they are incredibly flinchy. They flinch you out like nobody's business. They are the most underrated gun in Destiny today. And these are your hero formulas and your Suros DIS 43. And your Inward Lamp, the Year 2 Trials of Osiris scout rifle. And they require, I believe, 5 headshots. I believe. Don't quote me on that. That's I'd have to actually look it up. But I believe they require 5 headshots. But because of how flinchy they are, and because of how fast it fires, it's barely it's a 0.8 second optimal time to kill. Just like the high impact. And if you're looking, something more forgiving, well, the Mida is like 3 headshots, 1 body shot, and that will clock in at a 0.9 second optimal time to kill, which, let's be honest here, 0.8 seconds to 0.9 seconds, it's not really going to be that big of a difference. I mean, it's a little bit of a difference, but we're not talking drastic. So, and then you have the Boolean Gemini archetype, which is a full second time to kill, but is ultimately the most forgiving with 2 headshots, 2 body shots. So if you're starting to get into scout rifles, maybe you start with the Boolean Gemini, get accurate, get your strafe game, because you do need to strafe, you're going to need to strafe, you're going to need to be accurate, and then as you graduate more and more, personally, my favorite is the high impact scout rifles. I've been using it since Rise of Iron came out. I got the Keystone and I fell in love with them. So start with that. Start with maybe a Boolean Gemini, then graduate to either the Mida or a high impact or a low impact, one of the other archetypes. And these things will wreck for you. And I will even say, if you the Mida archetype might work in certain situations, and the high impact might work in different situations, and the low impact might work in different situations, and then even the Boolean Gemini archetype might work in different situations. So I would always have like one of every archetype, because that's all you. They all work in well in different situations. But man, that said, it's the perfect combination for this new meta. You have long range, you have medium range, and with Wormwood, you're pushing that medium range a little bit, but with a Wormwood, even if you just pick up a Vendor Wormwood, that's all you need, a Vendor Wormwood. That's all I use. You're set. Even if you're just rocking a Mida multi-tool and a Vendor Wormwood, you are set. You are set to go to be successful in this new meta. And if you can master it, it will be one of the most rewarding and maybe the best setup you could possibly have in the new meta. So with that said, thank you all for watching. Please click the like button. It really means a lot to support the channel. Please subscribe as well, and I will catch you all next time. Thank you.